Tonight, the provinces and the feds continue to clash over healthcare funding. And Saskatchewan is centralizing its online learning, and the company at the helm of that consolidation is raising eyebrows. Plus, the hunt is on. Christmas trees are in short supply and more expensive this year.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It's Friday, December 9th. CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Hello, and thank you for joining us. Provincial and territorial leaders are renewing calls for Ottawa to boost healthcare spending. They want the federal government to come to the table to negotiate new funding, but Ottawa is sticking to its demand, seeking guarantees and accountability if it's going to give out more federal money. Tom Perry reports.
Across Canada, signs of a healthcare system in crisis. Long waits or even closures at emergency rooms, frustrated patients, and burned-out medical staff. Canada's premiers once again today calling on the federal government to step up with more cash.
Now more than ever, Canadians expect their political leaders to get together for necessary and serious discussions to ensure the sustainability of the healthcare systems that they depend on.
Provincial and territorial leaders renewing their demand for a meeting with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
Set a date. We will put aside our whole schedule, all 13 premiers, to show up to Ottawa and sit down and let's hammer out a deal.
But Ottawa, the provinces and territories disagree on some fundamental points. The premiers say the federal government covers just 22% of healthcare spending. Ottawa says that ignores tax point transfers that have been in place for decades and pushed the federal contribution to roughly a third.
The goal is to have a 50-50 funding partner, and with the transfer of tax points and the cash transfers, they believe that they're at 35%. Then it seems to me that we're about 10 to 15 percentage points off.
But the feds say money isn't the only issue.
We look across Canada, on average, provinces and territories are running surpluses. So if it were dollars, it wouldn't be important to talk to the federal government. They would have all the dollars needed to invest in healthcare.
Ottawa also making it clear if there is new federal money, it will come with strings attached.
A plan to send unconditional transfers to finance ministers is not a health plan.
For now, there's no plan for Justin Trudeau to sit down with the premiers and hash out any new deal. Money may not be the only problem facing Canada's healthcare system right now, but this squabble between the federal, provincial, and territorial governments can hardly provide any comfort for Canadians facing long waits for care and healthcare workers who are overworked and exhausted. Tom Perry, CBC News, Ottawa.
Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe attended the meeting virtually. He says it is disappointing the Prime Minister has not met with the premiers despite repeated requests over more than 2 years.
Herein lies the opportunity that I feel is being missed by our federal government, the opportunity to sit down with 13 premiers from coast to coast to coast in this nation to work on what is quite likely the number one priority that Canadians have today, and that's to ensure that not only are we enhancing the people that are offering those services, increasing the number of people that are offering those services in our healthcare facilities today, but we're ensuring those services are going to be sustainable long into the future. And so
Moe is optimistic a meeting will be scheduled in the near future. The federal government has yet to commit to that. The latest rise in interest rates, many people here are now worried about renewing their mortgage. Earlier this week, Canada's central bank raised its interest rate to 4.25%. Mortgage holders with variable rates will likely have to pay twice the interest on their monthly payments. But people who don't need to renew their mortgage soon will be spared for now.
Folks that have to renew a year, 2 years from now, it's unclear how these higher interest rates might affect them because the interest rates may well go down between now and then. Now, the goal of these higher interest rates from the Bank of Canada is to cause consumers and businesses to spend less in the economy. One of the likely results of that is a recession.
Still, some people are concerned. We spoke to a Regina woman who used money from her late father to put a down payment on her home. She's beginning to worry about future financial issues.
The biggest thing I'm worried about is just not knowing what's going to happen. So even when I bought my house, I just started looking at things. And then 2020, like when things just crashed, I was like, this is perfect. And I got it within like a week of this perfect window of really low houses. And then after that, everything skyrocketed. So it worries me that things are going to continue to skyrocket, or if things don't skyrocket and things start going down, then the value of my house goes down.
Canada's central bank has raised its rate 7 times this year. It's now at its highest point since 2008, the fastest pace of rate hikes since inflation targeting began in the 1990s. The government of Saskatchewan and SGI continue to roll out grant money to policing organizations across the province. Today, Saskatoon's police service received almost $7.5 million. The money will support targeted initiatives.
We have things like police and crisis teams, which I think provide a more appropriate response, but we also have alternate response officers responding to incidents that are not criminal in nature or not violent in nature. We've also got a relationship with our mobile crisis unit here in Saskatoon, where we screen calls when they come in. If there's no violence or threat of violence, if there's no criminal act ongoing, we don't even send police, we send our partners with mobile crisis instead. So we got those sorts of programs. So that's what happens if you run out of those sorts of partnerships. The police are left with being the only avenue of response, and we're trying to make sure that we have strong partnerships in some of those other areas.
The money announced today will support 53 police positions in Saskatoon. That includes 5 jobs with combined traffic services and 1 new member of the Internet Child Exploitation Program. The Saskatchewan government is moving ahead with its plan to centralize online education. Now, some are questioning who the government partnered with on the project. The CBC's Jason Warwick explains.
The Saskatchewan government has announced a partnership with the SunWest School Division's Distance Learning Centre. SunWest will lead the move toward centralized online education in Saskatchewan. Its Kenaston office will serve as the provincial hub. It's hoped everything is in place by next September. However, a recent report by Saskatchewan's provincial auditor found that only 26% of SunWest's online students graduated on time last year. It wasn't much higher in the few years before that. The average for in-person learning is roughly 80%. Provincial Auditor Tara Clement says SunWest has done some good things, but she says the graduation rate is concerning.
They need to figure out how to keep people engaged when they're only doing online learning, for sure. Again, good model in place, so I do think they can obviously enhance and do better.
The Saskatchewan Teachers Federation says the provincial government must explain why SunWest was picked when the graduation rates are so low. President Samantha Beacott says the government has refused to engage in meaningful consultation.
That's right. There hasn't been any transparency on the process, on the rationale for any of the decisions for the distance learning or the centralized distance learning system. And really, we need to know why they're doing the things they're doing, why they're making the choices they're making.
Beacott says the government must put its plans on hold until all questions are answered.
We need to have a voice in those conversations. Teachers and the professionals know their communities and know what's best for their students.
No one from the Provincial Ministry of Education was available for an interview, but in an email, an official said that SunWest's Distance Learning Centre is well established. However, they are aware of the concerns raised by the auditor and others. Jason Warwick, CBC News, Saskatoon.
If you're hoping to decorate your home with a freshly cut Christmas tree, you might be disappointed. They're in short supply across the country, and they're more expensive than they've been in the past, too. It's a trend that began last Christmas and has only worsened this year. Ethan Williams explains.
She said it can't be any more than 6 feet wide.
Judy Gilmore is finding the perfect Christmas tree for one of her customers. She can hardly keep up with demand at her tree farm near Lumsden. In fact, the 50 trees she had available this year are sold out.
We just keep growing. This year's been our busiest year. I'm probably, well, three times as busy as what I was my first year.
That was just 3 years ago. And Gilmore's farm isn't the only booming Christmas tree business. Last year, Saskatchewan's Christmas tree industry raked in $1.3 million. That's more than double what it was in 2017.
I think people just want a real fresh tree. They last longer. There's an aroma to them. They'll last for 4 to 6 weeks in your house.
But it will likely cost you more to buy a tree this year. And it's not just because of demand. The Canadian Christmas Trees Association says inflation is driving up expenses. So customers will have to pay, on average, 10% more.
The cost of farming, fuel, for instance, let's start with that one, has been huge to run equipment.
And there are fewer trees. Climate change is taking its toll on the industry with recent drought in parts of the country.
Especially when you have multiple years of drought, that can be really play a negative role. It can actually kill seedlings.
And the amount of land dedicated to growing Christmas trees is dropping. According to the National Association, Canada has lost 8,000 hectares due to various factors over the last decade. That amounts to around 30 million fewer trees. In the same time period, about 1,000 tree farms have shut down across Canada.
So I've got that field over there on the north side I'm trying to fill in too.
Back on her farm, Judy Gilmore says the recent closure of another nearby tree lot has likely contributed to the spike in her sales. And with so much demand, she expects to keep going. Ethan Williams, CBC News, near Lumsden.
What a change from how this week began. The sun was shining and it wasn't dangerously cold out there today, but the wind hasn't really let up, as you can tell from those flags flapping outside of Regina City Hall. What does the weekend look like? Ethan will join us for your forecast after the break. Welcome back. Brittany Griner has returned to the United States after almost 10 months in Russian custody. Griner arrived in Texas a day after a prisoner swap, with Russia securing her release. She was originally detained in Moscow after cannabis oil was found in flight luggage. Vladimir Putin was asked today if further swaps might happen. He said anything is possible. Russia continues to hold Paul Whelan, a former Marine who spent his early years in Canada. Whelan was left out of yesterday's deal.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. 22 model clear out is on now.
Weather specialist Ethan Williams joins us now. I am hoping this warmer weather won't come to a sudden stop for the weekend.
You are in luck, Natasha. Looks like it is going to be sticking around, thank goodness, for the most part. And you know, we've had a nice warm up over this last little while, but I want to take you back to an even warmer period of time. This was 7 years ago in December of 2015. We had exceptionally warm first third of December. In fact, in Saskatoon, the average daytime high over the first 9 days of the month around 2.3 degrees. This year, sitting around minus 13.4, and an even more drastic change in Regina, where the first third of December 2015, the average was around 7.5 degrees. We even got up to 10 degrees as a daytime high one day. Didn't have snow on the ground until about the middle of the month or so. This year, we got lots of snow, and our temperatures on average this first third of the month much colder, around minus 13. But hey, we're not going to complain because temperatures are sitting where they should be for this time of year. Even in Collins Bay, that minus 17 is right around where you should be. With some warm air spilling up from the United States and from Alberta, bringing some very warm temperatures to southwestern Saskatchewan. And even as you head your way northward, we're still looking at temperatures generally sitting at or above minus 10. We have had a little bit of snow moving through the province this afternoon, and it continues on radar right now, but we'll see that mostly diminish for south and central Saskatchewan. But for the north of the province, we are watching this low pressure center, which is going to bring a few centimeters through northeastern sections tonight. We'll get some clearing tomorrow for much of the province, save for maybe the far north of the province. And then on Sunday, we're watching a couple of areas. We're watching this system moving in to northwestern Saskatchewan. And then Sunday evening into Monday, there is another system that's moving into the southwest part of the province as a low moves through Montana. And then that will move through on Monday, dissipating as it does so. So how much snow snow are we talking? Well, tonight for northeastern Saskatchewan, probably 2 to 5 centimeters in places like South End and Collins Bay. And that system moving through on Sunday through northwestern Saskatchewan, bringing about 5 centimeters, a few more centimeters to northeastern sections. Now, for southwestern Saskatchewan, models right now may still be a little bit on the high side, but from Sunday afternoon through to Monday afternoon, could be anywhere between 10 to 15 centimeters more the further southwest you go. Really eastward from there, Moose Jaw, Regina, Yorkton, Estevan, not really looking for all that much. Now, in terms of wind gusts, we will see them pick up a little bit in the southwestern part of the province tomorrow afternoon. That system will migrate eastward through Sunday night, and we'll get some gusts picking up through the night on Sunday, and then Sunday afternoon, it looks like things will start to dissipate. Now, for Regina, for our next few days here, we're going to be sitting above normal. As mentioned, some nice sunshine moving in, maybe a little bit breezy, as I said, on Sunday. And then that system moves in on Monday, making it a little bit cloudier, and some snow moving through the middle of next week. Saskatoon, you will also see that snowy pattern a little bit on Monday, and your temperatures going to be a little bit cooler, but it looks like for the most part, Natasha, we are staying out of the deep freeze.
Love to hear that. Thank you, Ethan.
You bet.
I was part of that drinking lifestyle. I wanted to have my fun until it wasn't fun anymore.
After the break, digital creator Keisha Tipwin shares her personal journey on what she calls the Red Road. That's her commitment to an alcohol-free lifestyle. During the holidays, it's not always easy. Stay with us.
I got re-victimized as
Make the season kind. For the month of December, CBC is supporting those in need through food banks of Saskatchewan. Visit cbc.ca/BeKindSK to find out how you can make the season kind.
Many people are choosing to lead alcohol-free lifestyles for all kinds of reasons, but it's not always easy to stay sober during stressful times. We teamed up with Keisha Tipwin to share her journey of quitting drinking and how she stays on the Red Road.
It's that time of the year again. Holiday season is coming up. That means big social gatherings, family meals, lots of food and drinks. And for those that live an alcohol-free lifestyle or those that struggle, holiday season can be stressful or triggering. Hey all, I'm Keisha Tipwin, a Cree digital creator from Treaty 6 territory, Wishkun Lake First Nation. I'm a survivor of sexual abuse and a cycle breaker by walking the Red Road. AKA, I live an alcohol-free lifestyle where I'm committed to my sobriety. For me, alcohol was always around. It was normalized and still is. I've seen how it changes a person, how it can make them social, it can give them a confidence boost, or it can make them sad, angry, lonely, or physically aggressive. And I was part of that drinking lifestyle. I wanted to have my fun until it wasn't fun anymore. With the hurt that I carried, I wanted to numb my pain. I wanted the triggers and flashbacks to go away. And alcohol kept me going until it didn't. I got re-victimized as an adult, and I was tired of numbing my pain. So I did something about it. I had no intentions of quitting alcohol. It kind of just happened once I finished this challenge that I set up for myself called 75 Hard. I worked on 5 tasks every day for 75 days, which includes read 10 pages a day of an educational book, 2 45-minute workouts, and 1 has to be outdoor. Drink 1 gallon of water, follow a diet. All I did was no junk food and to take a progress picture. One of the rules was no alcohol. So I did it and I completed it. But once I became sober and started to share with the world about my sobriety journey, I received all kinds of feedback, like people being proud of me, they're inspired by me. I even received comments like that I'm being too good because I quit drinking. I received those comments from mutual friends. It hurt, but I didn't take it personal because I know my why and why I decided to be better for myself. How I respond by telling people why I quit drinking is I let them know that I'm dealing with my trauma in a healthy way instead of coping by using alcohol. I didn't realize how much I was going to lose by becoming sober. I lost my friends, the environment I was in, and my old lifestyle. I was going through it. I was grieving my old lifestyle to make room for my new one. I actually had to feel my shit instead of turning to alcohol. The first year was the hardest, so I sought therapy and I talked about stuff that I couldn't talk about. I do deal with temptations when it comes to holiday season, and it is hard sometimes. I take it day by day. How I'm staying committed by being on the red road is being honest with myself, knowing my why I quit drinking. I let my family know when I don't want to be around alcohol, or I'll limit my time where alcohol is involved. I practice self-regulation skills like deep breathing while saying affirmations, or even meditating. I like to try new things, so what has helped me with my cravings is fake beer, non-alcoholic beverages, pop, or even carbonated water. They've helped me when it comes to my cravings. Lastly, I surround myself with other sober people that I can relate to, because we all have something in common. We're not alone, and you're not either. If you feel like you need that extra support during holiday season, reach out and talk to a trustworthy person. Find a support group, or even find an online support chat like Talking Stick or Hope for Wellness that's specifically for Indigenous people. There's even the residential school crisis line that's available to survivors and the survivors' families. With that, thank you for taking the time to listen. Take care.
That piece was by Keisha Tipwin for the CBC Creator Network. You can learn more about the Creator Network and pitch us your own story on our website at cbc.ca/creatornetworksk. And Ethan is back with another look at our forecast.
And it'll be a pretty nice evening in Regina, Natasha. We're looking for -8 at midnight. Winds out of the southwest going to stay fairly light. We get to tomorrow morning, we'll see a little bit of clearing, mainly sunny conditions. Southwest winds remaining light at -14, but we will still warm up as we get into the afternoon. We'll be above -10 probably by the late afternoon. And those southeast winds, they're switching a little bit. They will stay quite light for us. In Saskatoon, mostly clear night in store around -13. Tomorrow morning, we're going to see mainly sunny skies as well. Again, winds staying fairly light out of the south. And then to the afternoon, a little bit of cloud cover building in as we hit -15. A little bit of a cooler day for the central part of the province. But overall, Natasha, a really nice weekend in store for all of those holiday activities outside and inside.
Sounds great. Thank you, Ethan.
You're welcome.
Well, that's it for us tonight. For news anytime, head to cbc.ca/sask or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Glenn Reed will be back with more local news at 11. Thank you for watching and have a great weekend.